Now on River Region Evening Edition, a part of history is uncovered in Olmsted. A local ambulance service gets an upgrade, and Russia is supporting the Syrian president.
News from around the world, across the nation, and here in the River Region. This is the award-winning Student Newscast, coming to you live from Southern Illinois University. River Region Evening Edition begins now.
I'm Joey Dalo.
And I'm Joe Fry. An SIU anthropology professor has uncovered an artifact that hasn't been seen in quite some time. Anthony Wilder has more.
Mark Wagner has uncovered a part of U.S. history. A circa 1800 flatboat was discovered in the Ohio River near Olmsted, Illinois. After 15 years of research, the project is finally complete. And that's not to say there weren't challenges along the way.
We had to wait until the Ohio dropped extremely low. This boat sometimes is under as much as 50 feet of water. So the Ohio had to drop to an extremely low level for this wreck to be exposed.
So why did the ship wreck? Wagner mentioned while there was a possibility of a pirate attack on the wrecked ship, the cause of the wreck more than likely came from something else.
And what we think happened is that it had a leak in the stern. When we documented, the wood was all rotted in one area. And we think it had a bad joint and water was coming in for a very long time. Then when it got to the lower Ohio, it just separated and it went down. But flatboats wreck like crazy.
The exhibit is currently being shown at the SIUC University Museum. Wagner says that this research is important because it ties directly into our history.
Well, this is a really exciting project, and the reason we have the exhibit down in the museum is that people are still interested in this, even 15 years later. This remains the only example of one of these boats ever found.
For River Region Evening Edition, I'm Anthony Wilder.
For anyone interested in seeing the display, it's being shown at the University Museum until the end of the semester. There will also be a museum fall reception this Friday from 4 to 6, where Wagner will talk about his research.
There is a new ambulance in the Jackson County ambulance fleet. A 2014 Mercedes-Benz ambulance arrived today. The smaller van-sized ambulance made up the majority of the fleet 20 years ago. The company is returning to the smaller size because of fuel efficiency, and they no longer need to carry extraction equipment like jaws of life.
It should save a considerable amount in fuel cost as well as tires, general maintenance. It's, again, much more fuel efficient, so that will be a huge savings in and of itself.
The new ambulance cost Jackson County just over $86,000. The ambulance replaces one that was 15 years old.
A hurricane is churning through the Bahamas now and targeting the United States. Hurricane Joaquin strengthened to 85 miles per hour this afternoon, a Category 1 hurricane. The National Hurricane Center says it expects Joaquin to continue to strengthen. Forecasters think 5 to 10 inches of rain will fall on San Salvador and Rum Key through Friday morning and 3 to 5 inches of rain over the central Bahamas. Joaquin is expected to approach the U.S. East Coast by early next week. Temperatures sure have dropped this week so far, Joey.
Should we leave the windows open tonight? Let's check in with our weathercaster, Colin Dorsey. Colin?
All right, thank you guys. Taking a look at those current conditions for tonight, expect pretty clear skies of around 55 degrees. Morning by around 9 o'clock, sunny skies with 54 degrees. And then by midday tomorrow, sunny skies around 63 degrees. Really, it's going to be pretty nice in the days ahead. Thank you. We'll have that complete forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
A rollover accident occurred on Route 37 in Jefferson County yesterday morning. Illinois State Police say that John Rose of Benton was driving his Chevrolet Blazer in heavy rain. Rose topped a hill and swerved to avoid from hitting a car crossing the road. The Blazer left the road and rolled numerous times before coming to a stop in a ditch. Rose was taken to a local hospital with minor injuries.
A Jackson County man will spend 30 months in the Illinois Department of Corrections after pleading guilty to aggravated battery. Shane J. Pfister reportedly cut the victim multiple times with a machete after an argument. The victim says he struck 50-year-old Pfister in the head, and Pfister proceeded to grab a machete and cut the victim multiple times. Aggravated battery is a Class 3 felony. After serving 30 months in Jackson County, Pfister will have 2 years of mandatory supervised release.
The demolition of the former Honeywell plant has begun in Springfield. In a statement yesterday, the company expects to finish work on the vacant buildings by the middle of November. After the demolition, the property will be put on the market. The 100,000 square foot planned office complex has been vacant, and the company closed in 2010 and moved their production to Mexico. The plant was open for around 75 years and was home to around 120 employees. Next, daycare workers in Illinois are demanding a refund of past union dues.
And Russia is dropping bombs on Syria, but there are doubts about why they are doing it.
Two southern Indiana electric cooperatives will be getting power from a solar farm. That's the second of 10 solar farms that Hoosier Energy is developing. Officials with Utilities District of Western Indiana, REMC, and Davies joined Hoosier Energy officials at Tuesday's dedication of the megawatt solar farm along Interstate 69 near Bloomfield. That farm covers 10 acres with more than 4,200 solar panels that will generate powers for homes and businesses throughout Greene, Davies, and Martin counties. The 10 Hoosier Energy solar farms are planned to generate power for 18 electrical cooperatives in southern and central Indiana and southeastern Illinois.
Some daycare workers in Illinois are demanding a refund of millions from past union dues. A recent Supreme Court decision overturned an Illinois law that required non-union workers to pay a union fee. Because of the court's decision, it has caused those workers to issue lawsuits seeking compensation. The court case is currently continuing with a few non-union workers as accusers, and Governor Bruce Rauner and others are defendants.
An autopsy has been scheduled for Tuesday in the death of a 19-year-old NIU student who fell from the 11th floor of a campus residence hall. NIU spokesman Joe King says the student fell from the Stevenson Towers residence hall. King says that the student from Des Plaines lived at a different dorm on the campus. The incident is being investigated by campus police. NIU Vice President of Student Affairs Eric Weldy informed NIU students in a memo that before the tragedy occurred, a window screen had been removed from that room on the 11th floor. There is no information on who removed it or why the window screen was removed.
Hazardous toxins could be in your water or near you. The Illinois Department of Public Health and the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency are issuing a warning of possible toxins from blue-green algae in the Ohio River. The agencies are working with the Ohio River Valley Water Sanitation Commission for possible developments of a bloom on the surface of the river. However, no reports have been found near Illinois so far. If you have been near the river in the past few days and noticed a developing rash, experience violent vomiting or coughing, rinse your body with clean water and seek physician's help. Officials are working to promote awareness and place the best treatment practices to use.
Efforts to avoid yet another federal government shutdown continue today on Capitol Hill. The Senate overwhelmingly approved a bill this morning to fund the government until December 11th. The measure will now go to the House, where Republican leaders say they plan to pass the bill on time. A funding bill must be approved by midnight to avoid a shutdown. Meanwhile, congressional Republicans and the White House are expected to start meeting soon to resolve the end-of-the-year critical budget issues. Expected topics include increasing the debt ceiling, highway construction funding, and long-term government spending measures.
After a boy died in police custody, his family has hired an attorney to investigate how he died. A coroner in Indianapolis says 18-year-old Terrell Day died of a heart attack in an ambulance after complaining about breathing problems. Day had been arrested for pulling a handgun while he was shoplifting a clothing store. The day's family attorney told the Indianapolis Star that the family would like to know exactly what occurred. The investigation is ongoing.
Tension in the Middle East rose today as Russia began airstrikes on Syria. Russia's defense minister says they are bombing ISIS equipment and communication centers. But some think the target is actually forces opposing the Syrian president. Republican Senator John McCain says he believes the real purpose of these airstrikes is for the Russian president to gain more influence in the region. The Obama administration holds a similar view.
We are seeing the Russians ramp up their support for President Assad. They've been supporting him for quite some time, and it's clear that they've made a significant military investment now in further propping him up. The fact that Russia has to take these noteworthy steps to ramp up their support for Assad is an indication of how concerned they are about losing influence in the one client state that they have in the Middle East.
Secretary of State John Kerry says the United States and coalition airstrikes will continue against ISIS, and that the attacks with other motives will not be welcomed by the United States.
The way people stay informed about the news continues to change. A new study finds young adults, or millennials, are paying for news, but it isn't enough to keep old-fashioned media sources flourishing. According to a survey by the Media Insight Project, 40% of U.S. adults ages 18 to 34 are buying the news they receive. Even though money is coming in from these sources, it isn't enough to keep traditional media outlets successful. Newspaper revenue has dropped 63% in 11 years and continues to decline.
There is yet another recall for thousands of Ford minivans. 342,000 minivans ranging from the 1998 until the 2003 models have been recalled. This is the second time the minivans were recalled. A series of rear axle cracks on the older models were the main reason for the recall. The original recall was also on the rear axle back in 2010. The cracks would lead to a complete failure of the vehicle and possibly a crash. There have been reports of minor accidents, but no injuries.
South Carolina authorities say that the suspect of a fatal shooting of an officer at a South Carolina mall is in custody. The shooting occurred after police responded to the call of a suspicious person this morning. When officers arrived, the suspect fled on foot. Officer Greg Alaya of the Forest Acres Police Department confronted the individual, which resulted in shots being fired that killed Alaya. The suspect is currently being questioned.
We'll preview your weekend weather forecast next.
And the stocks rebounded this afternoon, turn into the nightly business report at 5:30 after the newscast.
Good evening, I'm Colin Dorsey with your River Region weather forecast. Looking outside from this viewer photo sent in to us today outside of Lawson Hall here on Carbondale's campus. Beautiful blue skies, a little bit of clouds in the air. We can look at these people in the photo and see they're starting to bundle up as our weather did get a little cooler today than we've been seeing in the past few days. Right now outside in Jackson County, 73 degrees. Our dew point looking at around 54 degrees. Relative humidity about 51%, not too bad yet. Wind gusting out of the northeast of 22 miles per hour. That barometric pressure sitting around 30.04. Your almanac average high for today, 78. We were a little bit cooler than that today. Record high coming in 1919 at 92 degrees, average low 51. We'll be getting pretty close to that tonight with a record low in 1949 at 31 degrees. Looking at temperatures across the river region, Cape Girardeau right now at 70 degrees. Paducah down in McCracken County, 71. Marion at 72. Carbondale 73, as well as Belleville. Mount Vernon this evening coming in at 72 degrees. Looking ahead at our coverage map, you can see most of the Midwest and Plains regions are fairly clear. Our area, including most of the East Coast, is seeing a lot of cloud coverage. Maybe some of our northern viewing areas, such as St. Clair County, seeing those clear skies out there this evening. Into your temperatures, it's starting to cool off across the nation as we progress into fall. Right now we're out there, we're seeing around the 70s. The farther north you get, they're dropping into the 60s. Out in Maine, actually, right now, we're seeing some fairly cool temperatures, upper 20s, lower 30s. In your wind speeds, I pulled this just to take a look down here on the East Coast at Hurricane Joaquin, beginning to move its way. What they're watching right now are the Carolinas and Virginia, as that is expected to make land impact. But fairly calm across the region. And also looking at your surface map, pretty calm conditions in our area across the Midwest. But looking once again as that hurricane does continue to move into the nation, we do see most of our East Coast expected to have some projected rain in the coming days. Taking a look at your satellite for tonight, overnight low of 55 degrees. By tomorrow morning, 54 is your high around 9 o'clock. And then by midday at 12 o'clock noon, 63 degrees. Going to be some pretty nice conditions out there tomorrow, and that's just going to progress throughout the week. We are going to get a little bit warmer than 63 tomorrow. However, as it does continue, we are going to cool off a little bit towards the later part of the week. We do expect some cooler temperatures coming in the later part of the week, some overcast skies later on.
So cooler temperatures, but no rain, which is something I really hope can stay.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Really, it's going to be some pretty fantastic weather in the coming days. It's starting. Pullover sweaters are coming back. It's nice.
All right, thank you, Colin.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. The St. Louis Cardinals are in the midst of a doubleheader today.
Plus, 2 tennis players are about to make history. Zach Thomas has more in sports.
Thanks, guys. The men's basketball team added another player to their roster. Plus, the Chicago Cubs came out of their rain delay with the Reds to get the win. We have all that and more when we come back on River Region Sports. The Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said today that the NCAA violated antitrust laws by limiting student-athlete compensation. However, in a split decision, the court ruled against a plan to pay the student-athletes as much as $5,000 annually, calling the plan erroneous. The case began with Ed O'Bannon, a former UCLA basketball star who won his antitrust case in August of last year. The case may come before the U.S. Supreme Court. And Saluki Tennis had a successful weekend at Purdue. The doubles team of Johnny Rigby and Michael Kianica moved into second place for an all-time school record. Sports reporter Sean Conway has the story.
Two Salukis are closing in on a school record. The dynamic duo of Johnny Rigby and Michael Kianica are a mere 9 wins away from tying the SIU all-time record in doubles wins.
It's my senior year this year, so I'm obviously going all out for it to be a good one. And I think it's just good for the whole team in general to start off on a positive note.
It would be like a big satisfaction that I brought something here. All the hard work me and Johnny did over the years would pay off.
Although winning the record would be nice, the two have their focus set more on the season ahead.
We'd like to be first, but we want team success on a first place, so winning a conference is the main goal.
Competing with a record of 35-10 together, opponents struggle to find an edge against the two. What is it about their style of playing that makes them so successful on the court?
We're really good friends off the court, so I think that's helped. We've been here for just over 2 years together, so that helps. Having a good relationship, and then also our games kind of complement each other.
It's like each other's game complement each other. So he's really good at the baseline, big serve, and I'm good on a return and at the net. So basically, what is my weakness is his strength, and other way around. So we basically together we don't have any weaknesses.
With the tennis season just starting up, it's only a matter of time until the duo breaks the record. For River Region Sports, I'm Sean Conway.
The two traveled to Tulsa, Oklahoma this weekend to compete as singles in the ITA All-American Championships. And SIU basketball head coach Barry Hinton expanded his roster to 15, adding former John A. Logan College player Bobby Manny. Manny will join the team as a walk-on and is the 7th new player for the Salukis this upcoming season. The John A. Logan alumni started 21 games for the Volunteers last season, averaging 3.3 points, 1 assist, and 1.5 rebounds per game. The playoff-bound Chicago Cubs look to make it 4 wins in a row after knocking off the Cincinnati Reds 4-1 yesterday. A long rain delay kept the game at bay, but the Cubs were off and running to start the game, scoring 4 first-inning runs. Pitcher Dan Herron threw 7 1/3 innings of scoreless baseball with 6 strikeouts. Attempting to rally in the 9th, Cincinnati ran out of gas against Travis Wood, locking up his 3rd save of the year. The Cubs take on the Reds again tonight with the first pitch slated for 6:10 p.m. The St. Louis Cardinals lost the first game of a doubleheader today, but they still have a chance to take the series. The Redbirds lost 8-2 to the Pittsburgh Pirates as pitcher Michael Wacha was hit around for 6 earned runs. However, due to the rainout yesterday, the Cardinals will now play the 3rd game of the series against the Bucks tonight at 6. The Cardinals also welcomed back Adam Wainwright to the roster after he missed much of this season because of a torn Achilles. He pitched earlier today, allowing 1 earned run in 1 inning of work.
Well, thank you, Zach. After the break, we have what's coming up in the days to come.
And Colin has a final look on our weather in 90 seconds. Colin, can we get a quick look at that weather?
Sure, let's take a check of that 5-day forecast. Overnight tonight, 45 degrees. We will kind of continue to warm up, though, as the week progresses. Saturday is our cool day, though, at 63.
All right, thank you.
Well, thank you, Colin. Thank you for joining us tonight. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at River Region News. I'm Joey Dalo.
And I'm Joe Fry. For Colin Dorsey, Zach Thomas, and more than 100 students who work on Evening Edition, good night.